everybody. Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Alliance today. They've made some, I think, very nice looking updates on the Paradigm series, but it goes so much further, I think, than just skin deep. For instance, they have changed up their pin box and suspension package to give this thing better ride and handling than it's ever had before, while also eliminating potentially roughly about 50% of stress on the frame as a result of the towing experience. And that's kind of one of those things that has always been a cornerstone of Alliance RVs. Before they ever built the very first Paradigm fifth wheel, they spent 6 months talking to full-time RVers at rallies, learning about what they wanted. And better running gear, better tires, better suspension, better pin boxes was all part of it. And now that there's new tech available, they have kept up with the trends instead of saying, well, this is what we do, we're going to keep doing what we've always done because it's always worked good enough. They're always trying to step further. And I think it's not an accident that more people in today's market are choosing Alliance fifth wheels over other brands than ever before. Alliance is one of the only manufacturers who is up in year-over-year volume in a market that is down 7% overall in volume. So what is it about these? Why are people choosing Alliance instead of all the other brands that are out there? The wide body nature of a Paradigm certainly doesn't hurt. Again, the keeping up with the trends, the updated decors and looks, but their heavy use of composites and their sidewall construction, the big double power awning package, the maximized campsite window coverage, their execution of not an ounce of space gone to waste within their RVs, and just so many other little detail things like the dual carpetless floor flush, no toe stubber slides that you have down there on the lower deck. They're moving away from slide systems that have proven problematic in the past. They are continuing to stand behind their customers. They're worried about people having a good experience and not just buying an RV. And I think that right there is one of the key difference in the advantages of Alliance. Now, I like to go through this floor plan every time they have a major update because every builder makes this floor plan. So if you're trying to really learn what one brand does versus another brand, this floor plan right here is the perfect way to test that. And if you appreciate how we always get you this footage, show you all the storage and the slides closed and all that, hit that subscribe button. And as we go, let me know what you think about this girl right here.
And I mean, right away, right when I step inside, I love the look of this new decor. Now, I will be the first to admit, I am no Martin Stewart. I'm no interior decorator or anything like that. But this gives me good feels when I step inside. Looking down on this thing, like I don't use wide angle lenses or anything like that. So I try to give you a more realistic look of what this thing is. Holy crap. I was kneeled down for a minute and then I stood up, and there's some kind of fancy medical name for that, but I got super dizzy for a second there, and I had to take a moment so I didn't go tumbling down the stairs, which would have made for some awesome content. Don't get me wrong. I am not above hurting myself to make you laugh. I have done it many times on camera, but it's not necessarily always my first choice. Back to the task at hand. We have carpetless floor flush slides on both sides of the RV. And like many RVs now, no floor vents anywhere on the main level. They do sometimes have one or two in the upper deck of some Alliances just because some layouts and designs don't allow them to be completely carpetless, but they do the best they can to try to avoid that. They were one of the brands that really helped lead that charge, giving Grand Design credit for being one of the first to really crack that egg and get people talking about that. The wide body nature of this, one of the things that I like is it allows for both good size side stands and a 3-seat rear sofa. Oh, look where they put the power outlets on that. Kind of pointing inward on the inside of that a little bit. I would like it a little bit better if those power outlets were just a smidge higher up, but they actually have hidden storage in those little side stand pockets. That's another thing that Alliance has been excellent for pretty much from the start, is a practice that I call not an ounce of space gone to waste. They just, if there's a pocket, man, they just tend to use it. But look at the maximized window coverage on this. So this is over here on the campsite of the RV. And it's funny when we're in a factory environment like this, like we're actually in one of their PDI centers right now. Every single Alliance RV goes through a PDI process. They don't do like a percentage or like every one out of however many they build. Every single thing they build, each factory has its own specialized PDI team that goes through it all the time. Now that you might notice is it's something that I prefer. It's a folding center armrest. So this is where your cup holders would be more obviously located. But if you want to flip it off,
if you want to flip it away, maybe that's a better way of phrasing that right there. There's if you want to sling your legs across one another, if you just want to snuggle up, or if you got the grandbaby over for the weekend or something like that, you got a little dog between you, perfect little spot to do all that. But I got looking, and my little trained RV nerdy professional looker at her of camper eyes went, hang on, little Legend of Zelda secret cup holder storage there. So if you want cuddle compliance and cup holders, this camper gives you and instead of or. Now, sometimes an RV's greatest asset is potentially its greatest liability. I got looking at this over here, and they went with such huge windows, but they also went with what I call kind of the Franken table or the Judy Dench benchy bench, both of which are very high level technical terms, where it's kind of a floating ottoman bench arrangement and freestanding table and chairs wombo combo. And when it's in this orientation, I looked at these new chairs over here, and I was like, man, it looks like it's going to be a little tight. So I actually wanted to hop in this and try it out. Here's the thing, though. I don't have a camera person. I'm kind of a one-man show. So set the camera over here, which is your point of view, and I wanted to see if my American dad bod could fit in this thing. One thing I have noticed is that these chairs do stick out from the table a little bit, but in a second here, we're going to see why I'm not sure I necessarily care about that. Like, in its current, or these feel really tight in here. Is that, all right, there's not a whole lot of room to get. Yeah. Ooh. Hey, I always just try to be real with my videos. My belly is all up in this table right now. These new chairs stick out further than the old ones used to. I will say, they are pretty comfortable, and being wedged in between this, it's really helping my back and my posture support right now. But I've got a Pillsbury Doughboy loaf of gut hanging over this table right now that I don't know I necessarily love. But here's the thing, because there's a $0 way around this. The little bench and those chairs that we were looking at, they're not bolted down to anything. And what I learned when I pulled this out is this table is mounted asymmetrically within this space. There's more space over there than there is over here. Now, that might be specific to this floor plan, not every paradigm, so keep that in the back of your head. But when I changed this out, when the cushions weren't pushing me forward so much, suddenly this felt better. Now, I don't have anything behind me back here. I could get myself a nice core ab workout, but I also, while we're on camera, even though I'm going to be halfway flashing my backside to you here, I do apologize for that. Yeah, see, this is much better. This is exactly what you should be looking for right here. So, most of the time, when you go to see these at an RV dealership, what you're going to see is the bench here and the chairs there. Have it in your mind, plan on reversing those things, or you could just not worry about it at all, because this is a pivoting table. So, if you want to, you can, make the dining face straight out these ridiculous sized windows, and suddenly the spacing and the room on this becomes a non-issue. Now, this arrangement really only works for 2 people, but at the end of the day, this is an RV that is primarily designed for 2 people. Now, we do have a guest bed, we have some guest capacity, but it's made for 2 folks first and other people second. And if you don't like that, that's okay, but that's what this one does. Those are the little things that define the different brands. And if you like how we show you all this extra stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I always want to help you have the best idea of what you might be spending, let's be real, a lot of money on before you spend a lot of money on it. Now, I left this arranged goofily, if you will, just to kind of help demonstrate the different sizing and setups that you could have with this thing right here. I do really appreciate, though, that it's very much a no-knee knocker. And it is technically 2 big windows over here, but they have very little space between those windows. They really maximized everything. I also really appreciate, like, you see the light switch to the left of that sofa over there on the slide wall. That's specifically for the lights above it. You'll find the same thing for the dinette. They make individual seating lighting very easy to access, and I've always been kind of a sucker for the accent lighting that goes up in the crown molding like that. It just, for me, it looks so cool. Holy crap. This thing looks like a Russian... Is that called a Sputnik light or something like that? It's something kind of like a Sputnik light. Normally I suck with my home and garden terms. The only reason I know that is because my wife chose a Sputnik light for our kitchen, so I happened to help install one. Hey, I'm looking at an air conditioner. Let's talk about it. When Alliance first came out with this, everybody, including myself, I can admit this. I can admit when I do something stupid. Everybody laughed at them for having non-ducted air conditioners in an RV. Everyone said, what kind of cheap stupidity is this? But then I learned about it. And what I found is that it's an intensely efficient, effective system. And wouldn't you know it, more and more RV companies are now jumping on board, especially in the big fifth wheels that have a ton of cubic foot of space. More and more companies are copying Alliance's air system or similar variants thereof because it's working very, very well. Now, it's not always the quietest air system out there. When these things are on full max crank, yes, you can hear them. But once they get down to cruising altitude, they're pretty like conversation friendly. You don't have to like, have your TV cranked up to 11 or anything like that. The light box, the backlit light panel in that top central storage, I've never personally preferred that from Alliance. It looks very cool, don't get me wrong. But it also, you can't leave stuff up there when you're traveling. But a big paradigm like this tends to be used for a lot of extended destination use, so it's probably just fine. Now, remember that floating bench I talked about? It makes for the perfect rear sofa ottoman if you want to be able to kick your feet up there. Plus, there's a little bit of storage in that. We'll get to there in just a second. First, though, let me give you a good look at the entertainment system here. Every TV that you see is smarter than a fifth grader, so you can keep up with your Netflix and your Hulu and your everything else. The worst thing you could ever do on an RV trip, though, is watch this idiot who never shuts up on YouTube called Josh the RV Nerd. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she's super annoying. Anyway, the TV's not mounted up so high that it's super annoying, but I've noticed a lot of manufacturers have adopted this, what I'm calling pantry-tainment center here. That's nerdism number 37. And it usually leaves this big flat panel at the top of it. And I'm always kind of curious, what would you do with that? And like, how would you, I don't know, decorate it? We're going to get to all the storage behind that in a minute. It actually even has like cordless vac prep storage or broom space back there. But what if you're just sitting back here on the rear sofa? Well, one of the cool things is this one provides some pretty easy viewing access. Personally, I prefer this variety of entertainment center over a televator. I prefer a swing arm mounted swing out TV as opposed to a televator for several reasons. One, it maximizes storage. Two, it maximizes viewing, because sometimes you want to sit in a theater seat and sometimes you just want to like lay down and stretch out, you know what I mean? But different strokes, different folks. I respect all that, certainly. From the back sofa here, the viewing off this RV is just freaking phenomenal, effectively. But the pantry-tainment system, like we're looking at right here, one of its downsides as compared to a televator is that it doesn't provide that extra window for viewing and or airflow. So I would be curious, because there are advantages and drawbacks both ways. If you had your choice, would you go with the swing out TV and storage or the televator and a window? So cracking everything open here for a deeper dive. Once again, the sofa is wider, so it does provide more side-to-side sleeping space. These are not a residential length, though. These are usually only like 72-ish inches long. It's a short length, so your feet, if you're an adult, are going to kind of hang off the sides. Now, both of your side stands beside the sofas, you can see have the little flip-up kind of hidden storage box right there, which, hey, I love the fact that they're not wasting storage. And with that ottoman, you have a handy little, I don't know, what would you stuff inside this little ottoman box down here? I'm kind of curious. The good news is we've only just scratched the storage surface, because this pantry-tainment setup is amazing. One of the things I love that they did is they included that gas strut up there, because a lot of these swing open pantry centers I see in most RVs, they just have this way of swinging themselves open or shut when you don't want them to. Now they lock in the normal TV viewing position, but when you open them, a lot of times it's like you're constantly fighting the door, and now we're not. Now, so that you know, there is a little bit of a lip on the storage here. It's about, one knuckle's worth, because that's the standardized unit of measurement when a banana's not available. It's
0.18 bananas deep. But you see this over here. First of all, I love that glow saber light beam sideways so that you can always see inside of here. But that power outlet down there and this tall open cavity, if you want to get something like a cordless stick vac, it gives you the perfect place to be able to do that. Their kitchen is also very symmetrical, and when you're standing in it, it really kind of wraps around you because those side cabinets around the microwave there, they are angled inward slightly, purely for aesthetics, but I think it looks cool. Where are my power outlets? I'm guessing we have power outlets under the overhead cabinets. Yes, we do. We have some household outlets on both sides up there. Now, that microwave actually is also a stovetop vent hood combo. So when you are cooking at this big, almost like residential size stove and oven, you actually can get the hot air exhausted outside. That is obviously a much larger oven than you normally get. And these two drawers look a little bit asymmetrical in size, but here's the thing. I've only got this one pulled out about halfway. It actually has a drawerception drawer with like a dedicated utensil organizer kind of included right in there with it, which I think is handy. Now that pantry over there, if you look closely, you might notice that it also has a set of household outlets built right inside of it. So if you want to make that a little appliance shelf, those other shelves are adjustable and or removable. So you can really kind of customize that how you want to. Now, one thing that they've done here is they've worked to the more critical systems controls. They work to kind of tuck those away. Like, let's say you've got a little curious grandkid over for the weekend, and they start pushing buttons. They want to make sure those things are not where they can get messed with. You know what I mean? I'm guessing we also have more power outlets under the overhead cabinet there. Yes, we do. I would kind of prefer to have a set of outlets down at countertop level where they'd be a little bit easier to see, a little bit easier to access. Also, your converter fuse box also kind of tucked away, but very easily accessed. Alliance is also still today one of the very few towable RV manufacturers who completely color codes all of their wiring. It's shocking to me that's not some kind of coding requirement, and it's long, for many years, been my experience. The manufacturers who do color code their wiring, they have fewer electrical issues, and Lord, they are easier to resolve. Now, at this point, I realized I had forgotten to pull out the dish drying rack sink cover. It's all one-piece rollaway, by the way, but there you go. Also, I was trying to figure out, it's tricky for me to get good angles on the under cabinet storage because I don't use the tricky fisheye wide angle lenses or anything. So I took the soap pump off the countertop and I threw that down there for size reference. Hopefully that's useful for you because, dude, and I say dude only because I don't know your names individually. That thing is huge. Now there's also down there all PEX plumbing. It's also individual shutoff valves for every water fixture, so you don't have to cripple your RV experience if one little thing has some kind of gremlin going on. And you may have noticed it looked like a water hose kind of sticking out there. That is prep for it's washer dryer prep, basically. If you want to remove these drawers, you can install a not washer dryer. Did I say washer dryer in the kitchen island? I don't know. Maybe that would be smart, but no, it's dishwasher prepped in the island, and I am an idiot. Okay, I'm gonna roll on past all this. You may have noticed in the kitchen how they had the the bigger XL vent fan. That's awesome. That's all well and good. There's a lot of RVs who call themselves luxury fifth wheels that won't also use one of those in the bathroom. And that just has always kind of baffled me. And you can see that Paradigm is not one of those. They are doing the whole shebang, basically. Holy crap, dude. Speaking of crap, you could be in the bathroom and just really be listening to the tones. Now, perhaps if you crank up some Eddie Van Halen brown tones, that might help you over here in the bathroom. I feel like I'm dangerously on the edge of getting really gross with my humor, and I'm already pretty rough as it is. Obviously, awesome space for all night toilet. One of the best parts of this having a wide body, I don't think I've talked about that very much so far, but the extra space you get around that toilet, and that actually also is a soft close toilet lid. So if you're like me and you forget and just drop it, it doesn't go shablam. Now this is just a small little pocket right here, maybe for some body wash or something. This is a big, deep pocket.
it's frankly, it's big enough. I think you better get some kind of wicker baskets from Target or something to be able to put stuff in the back of it and pull it forward toward you, because that the back of that would be hard to reach. And again, I hope you appreciate where I try to point out even silly little nitpicks. Now, the headroom in the shower is amazing because it actually has a step down shower, creating a little bit of a baby tub. Now, I'm not calling this a tub. This is just a shower, but it's deep enough that if you actually legitimately had a baby that you needed to bathe with one of those little sponge bed things, you know, where you put just a little water on them, kind of rub it around, that could be the thing that you could do here. The fold down seat is standard in the shower of these as well. But if you, again, look at the flooring of the shower versus the main floor. I don't even know how well this is translating to camera, but it's extra space in there that's really, really nice. And remember, Alliance tries whenever they can to not have heat vents in the floor. This is an area where they were able to avoid that. And it occurs to me, I didn't get you any bonus footage of this bathroom storage all opened up. So now that we've done kind of the 360 slow scope, let's go ahead and just hop in there. The trick with this is it's really tight quarters, and I don't like to use fisheye wide angle lenses if I can help it. I gave you a very brief fisheye lens preview of this in the early floor plan footage just to keep things clipping along, but that's about it. By the way, did you notice solid surface even in the bathroom? A lot of manufacturers, once you leave the kitchen, you stop getting solid surface. They were very consistent here. Really nice counter space now that I get in here and look at it. Again, this is all pecs on pecs kind of plumbing. Nice little spot for a wastebasket in there. And we've got ourselves some nicely finished off triple plywood drawers. I don't know how I'm going to get you a good angle on these things. Actually, I think we're doing all right. I think you're getting the idea that there's some pretty decent storage here. How about that? Worked out. All right, so moving on from there, it's easy to miss the fact that both the bathroom and the bedroom do have actually lock shut pocket doors, which is kind of cool. So that when you're going down the road, you don't got to worry about them slinging and banging all over the place. The front wardrobe doors are actually exactly the same. Now, in the bedroom, you see the standard third air conditioner, because every Paradigm has at least 40,500 BTUs of cooling power. That's a lot. 40 and a half kilo BTUs. The kilo thing will come back in the video, but you might notice that is centralized. So your kitchen and your living room is the biggest cavity in this RV, so it gets 2 max efficiency air conditioners in there. Your bedroom and your bathroom are both much, much smaller in cubic foot of space, so they share one mini ducted air system. Now, what's kind of cool is your bedroom and bathroom thermostat is separate from the living room and kitchen, so you can very effectively zone climate control this RV, which not every RV offers you. Now, our bed slide mechanism up here is a Norco exact slide. And one of the benefits of that is that when this slide is closed, it does provide you the ability to sleep on the bed while it's retracted. Some manufacturers do, some don't. We're looking at the king bed here. Queen bed is available. The bed base is always going to be queen sized. So if you're shopping for a Paradigm, if there's one in stock at any dealership, Bish's or otherwise, I don't care. If it has a king in it, but you prefer a queen with more room to walk around the bed, you could always change that out to a queen. There's a little bit of decking, basically, under the bed that just gets shaved down, that plywood right there, then you're done. But look at this. We have household outlets, even with the king bed, good walk around space. Household and USB plugs built right in there on the bedside. Now, I don't know that I'm going to call that a CPAP stand, but if you went with the queen bed, there might actually be CPAP space there. A lot of manufacturers have been not doing the third window in the bed slide anymore. I'm kind of curious your take on that. I've talked to some people who love it for the light and the airflow. I've talked to some people who don't like how that third window makes their head hot or cold all the time. I think maybe it just depends on how you camp. I would love to hear from actual owners what your experience has been. Meanwhile, like Joe Dirt, we're going to keep on keeping on up here. They utilize every little nook and cranny of their big front nose cap they can to really maximize the storage in here. What's kind of cool, it is prepped for a washer and dryer, but not stackable, but like side by side. So I think this side, if I'm not mistaken, is the dryer, and the other side of the RV would be the washer. Or you can install a combo unit on, I think, just the right-hand side where the water hookups are. But what that means is that in the middle, you're always going to have
shoe storage, hanging space, all those kind of nice things. Now, this little bench over here, it's not that like this is the first time any RV manufacturer has ever done that, but what it's actually doing is kind of hiding some of the bulkier upper deck structure that you find in an Alliance RV. So they decided to pad the top of it and give you a spot to sit down to put on a pair of shoes or pants or anything like that. Shoes and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. I do appreciate how the smart TV in the bedroom, factory standard, by the way, is downward dog angled a little bit. And yeah, a little bit more storage to go on here in the bedroom yet. Handy, just like right here, you're seeing remote control storage, but you know, as Jack Sparrow would say, your personal effects, your wristwatches and things like that can kind of go in there. Giving you a sideways shot of the storage drawers here. You've got 6 full-on dresser drawers, so quite a bit of dresser storage here. And, of course, the easy lift kind of footlocker storage that you have going on there under the bed. Again, whether it's the king or the queen, you have your choice of both here. And now remember, with the slide closed, this one does afford you the ability to sleep in the slide while it's retracted. Some brands do, some brands don't. Thankfully, that's becoming more of a talking point and awareness item in the industry. Kind of like for the longest time, like people were just very vocal about the fact that they just didn't really want carpet in RVs. And for the most part, carpet's pretty much gone out of RVs today. It's not 100% dead, but it's pretty much there. One of the cool things with this one, though, it doesn't allow for like 100% access when the slide's closed. I don't know that I need that. For a quick travel stop, I don't know that I need that. It's not to say that there aren't benefits to it, but with the slides closed, I can still get to the bed, I can get to the refrigerator, I can get to the bathroom, I can use the critical travel access features that I need while I get there. And then once you get there, obviously when this thing sets up, it just sets up very, very nicely. So you appreciate all the extra little details that we throw at you. Hit that subscribe button if you're new with us, and let's go talk towing.
Now, ironically, you might notice that a couple members of our team are here taking a tour, checking out the new updates and stuff. The funny part is, I'm just standing here recording stuff, and they show up, and we look at each other like the Spider-Man meme, like, what are you doing here? But it worked out. Regardless, one of the things I always like to talk about is what's it going to take to tow this baby around? When we are in the heavier, wide-body fifth-wheel segment like this, there might be on this floor plan some single rear wheel 1-tons that could handle it in some situations. I feel better about a dually being hooked up to this thing personally, but it does. There might be some instances in which you don't necessarily need to go to that extent. Now, this is again a wide body product that's really been all Alliance fifth wheels always have been, and that extra space, it just adds up. It does mean it's a little bit wider when you're towing down the road, but to help give you a better experience and to help the RV stay out of the shop and to help keep things from getting rattle trapped around, this year they have upgraded to the new Kurt Helix pin box system and the like touring coil spring suspension system. And both of those things, I have seen several more premium level manufacturers transitioning over to those systems right there because they work. They're not the least expensive pin box and suspension packages, but they do seem to be ones that work very, very well, and they seem to be turning in superior service records because they're certainly less expensive systems to use. Paradigm's one of the few manufacturers still rocking a gas and electric water heater with a larger tank. A lot of brands have gone to tankless on demand. Paradigms this year, they have updated to the electronic dump gate valves, but one of the things that they kind of set the trend with are these 3-way switches for things like slides and awnings. So over here on this side of the RV, you're going to see, and I like how they're listed, slide 1, slide 2, but I can stand right here on the outside of my RV, and I can line of sight my slide outs opening. And on the other side of the RV, the slide out and the awnings, I can stand right there and watch them open and close to make sure they are unobstructed. Now, this floor plan, one of the things it does benefit from is it is a single sewer outlet system, which is just a nice convenience factor. Your kitchen, your bathroom, everything just all drains out into one spot right here. You might notice you've got pipes coming from both directions. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, I think this RV has 2 gray tanks. I could be mixed up on that. The weights and the measures at the beginning of the video or in the middle there will probably relay that for us. Now, you see that Those orange shocks, quite literally, and the spring system back there. This is not an off-road suspension package. This is a touring package, meaning if you want to drive this thing around a lot, it is made to keep a lot of the annoying herky-jerky bumpy jumps out of this thing and help keep you out of the service centers. Your lower deck slides are rack and pinion. Our upper deck slide is a cable slide system. Sorry, my throat's kind of been failing me a little bit. It is currently mud and crud spring season around here. And we have a combination of cold, wet days and allergens starting to float into the air. So basically everyone around southern Michigan, northern Indiana, aka Michiana, they're always kind of sick this time of year, and I'm probably no exception. The dual power awnings giving us maximum patio space is nice. I really like how they run that front awning pretty much all the way up to the nose, you know. They've done a couple things up here. First of all, we're looking at, I guess this is pretty much the base version of a Paradigm. This is essentially no options, and it's already more swanky than a lot of fifth wheels, even with their options. But one of the things that you have the ability to do is get generator prep. Another thing you have the ability to do is get a full-on generator install. Now, it is prep for that so that, like, if you wanted to do those things after the fact, you could. They have also updated their solar hardware this year, which I'm glad to see. They've gone to a higher grade Victron MPPT charge controller. But the thing is, the whole solar package and super solar package for Paradigm this year has seen an upgrade and a facelift equal to the enhanced look of this thing. So again, they've already upgraded. This is the base charge controller, that MPPT variety 30 amp charge controller. If you don't know the difference, MPPT versus PWM, just the Cliff Notes version, this one is more efficient and works better. Costs a little more though. They also have a 400 watt solar panel sitting up there on the roof. Now that's the base version of this, and it is inverter prepped. Now, if you want to get kind of cool and crazy with this thing, their super solar package this year is significantly enhanced from what it used to be. It is now 1.2 kilowatts of solar. That's triple 400 watt solar panels with a 3,000 watt inverter. Victron Pure Sine inverter, which is capable of like cranking at least one of the air conditioners, maybe a little bit more. I need to verify all the other things it can run. Also includes 400 amp hours of lithium batteries. That's, as far as a factory supplied solar package goes, that's very respectable. Now, if you want to like, I'm going to live off grid and hide from the governments, I'm not saying it's that kind of package. It will not fully run this RV untethered infinitely. But from the factory level, that's a very solid extended use situation that, unless you're parked completely in the dark, should probably definitely be able to handle the demands of that big 12-volt refrigerator. Now, speaking of optional stuff, although this really looks like a paint package, that's the base look of Paradigm this year. It just looks smexy as all get out. But they do have, of course, paint package options available. They even have that available on Valor and Avenue. They've had it on Valor, but paint packages on Avenue are a fairly newer thing amongst the scheme of things. This is also the second smallest of the Paradigm fifth wheels. The 295 technically is a little bit smaller, but the size feels so right to me all the time. You can see up front here, we've got that huge drop frame storage compartment. And that's not necessarily uncommon in a lot of big fifth wheels. The propane bottle looks small. That's a 30-pound propane bottle, but they give you a compartment sized for a 40-pound bottle. So if you do want a bigger propane storage, you have the space to do that without modifying the RV. Once again, they give you easy access 3-way switches to things like your slides and your awnings right here. You also have a gas grill quick connect right there down below that compartment area, and that big quad step and the safety rail handle, in case you were curious, just giving you easy access. But it's quite a haul up there. I don't think I mentioned this earlier. I was talking about the suspension a little bit, the pin box. These are Cooper H-rated tires, by the way. So those are some really nice sneakers on that kid. This is also, all Paradigms have a 6-point hydraulic auto leveling system. That's one of the very few differences between like Avenue and Paradigm. Avenues are a little bit lighter weight, often smaller layouts. They tend to run on an electric leveling package, whereas this is going to be hydraulic slides and leveling. electric upper deck slide, hydraulic lower deck. So keep that in mind right there. On the back here, of course, we have that 3,000-pound towing hitch with a 300-pound vertical weight limit. You see the safety chain hooks, the wiring harnesses right there. So if you feel like doing some stuff with it, you absolutely can on this one. And there's also little details that are super, super easy to miss. I'm going to get you up close so you can see these things, but they put these little tabs on the sides of their slide boxes. Here's what I'm talking about. This slide, actually, it's tall enough they actually have 3 of them on there. And basically, it's just extra little pieces of kind of like trim from the factory, but they repurpose them so that those pieces of trim grab the slide seals and make sure that they wipe in and out the way that they're supposed to, because if you have a crimped slide seal, well, then you don't have a seal, and this prevents that. I forgot, despite the fact that I'm 42 years old with a 54-year-old hairline, my skin still thinks I'm 13. Anyway. I'm having a little breakout session, and apparently my voice will start cracking when I go through puberty. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, take a look at the links in the video description. We'll have a link down there if you're like, how much does this thing cost? There's a link down there. Any of these that we have in stock will have MSRP. If we have a discounted sale price available, we'll have that displayed for you. We never sell at MSRP at Bish's, by the way. There are some times, though, where a manufacturer's pricing policies may prevent us from actually publishing a fully discounted sale price. I don't know if that applies here, but kind of keep that in mind. Short of that also, again, there's no shortage of other builders that make a layout like this. If you want to see some things that are very side-by-side and comparable, maybe look at, like, say, Solitude, North Point, Montana, something like that. If you like what you see here, and you're like, I love the Alliance, but this thing doesn't fit within my wallet, take a look at the 32 RLS Avenue. There, you make almost no sacrifices and get almost the same RV. That Avenue is a monster value rig. And if you appreciate little tips like that, all the things that we've shown you today, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next time. So, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.